What if, tonight, a signal reached Earth? Not noise, not static, but a voice from another world. What would it say? And what would it want from us? Chapter 1. The Signal in the Dark. Imagine this. You are standing under a clear night sky. The stars stretch endlessly, like a million silent watchers. For most of human history, those lights were mysteries we could only wonder about. Were they suns like our own? Did they have planets? Could someone be looking back? For centuries, no answer came. Only silence. But in the last 100 years, everything changed. We built radio telescopes, vast dishes of metal pointed at the heavens, designed to catch whispers hidden in the static. We began to send messages outward as well, hoping anyone might hear. From the Arecibo Observatory in Puerto Rico, scientists once beamed a signal toward a cluster of stars. It was simple. Numbers, DNA, shapes of humans, and the solar system. It was not a shout, more like a hopeful knock on the door of the cosmos. And yet, nothing came back. At least, nothing we could recognize. But what if that silence ended? Picture a night where, instead of meaningless static, the telescope caught something structured, a pattern repeating, a signal that could not be mistaken for natural noise. Maybe it's a pulse of radio waves, spaced in perfect intervals, or a tone that shifts in a way no star or planet could produce. The first reaction from scientists would not be joy. It would be disbelief. The universe is noisy, full of cosmic background. Many times, false alarms have fooled researchers. Strange signals turned out to be satellites, passing aircraft, even microwave ovens near observers. But this one would be different. It would not fade. It would not fit any natural explanation. It would have the fingerprints of design. How would we know? The answer is mathematics. Nature creates chaos, bursts, irregular noise, random scatter, but intelligence builds order. If the signal contained prime numbers 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, lined up in sequence, that would be something no pulsar or black hole could produce. If it carried geometric ratios, repeating patterns, or harmonics in ways tied to physics constants, it would scream of intention. It would mean, without question, someone is speaking. Now, imagine the moment when that realization spreads through the control room. Scientists leaning forward, headphones pressed tighter, eyes glued to screens. The room goes silent, except for the hum of machines. A pulse, then another, 1 second apart, each one stronger, more precise. At first, it sounds like a heartbeat, then it shifts. 2 quick tones, pause, 2 again, pause, 3, then 5, then 7. The primes. At that moment, doubt vanishes. This is not Earth-made. This is not chance. This is contact. The news would not stay secret for long. In the age of instant media, one whisper online would spread worldwide in hours. Headlines would scream. Signal detected from deep space. Social feeds would explode. Some would laugh. Some would panic. But others would feel, or the first crack in the silence of the universe. And where would it come from? Perhaps not from the far edge of the cosmos, but somewhere closer. A star only a few dozen light-years away. A star system much like our own, with rocky planets in its habitable zone. If so, the signal is not a ghost from millions of years ago, is recent, alive, intentional. But here lies the deeper mystery. What are they saying? At first, the message would seem simple, just a pattern of pulses. But repetition is the first step in language. From there, complexity grows. Maybe the pulses form grids, images hidden in binary code. Maybe sound frequencies carry more than number shapes, diagrams, even music. Imagine a rising tone that resembles the sound of a human whistle, a melody repeating again and again, a song written for ears that have never met. Think of the Voyager golden record we launched into the void. On it, we placed greetings in many human languages. We placed music from Bach, Chuck Berry, and indigenous songs of Earth. We added sounds of wind, rain, birds, and the laughter of a child. If aliens found it, they would know not just what we are, but how we feel. Now, what if they had done the same? The first decoded fragments might be shapes, a circle, a triangle, a spiral. Geometry is a universal language. Then could come star maps, showing their home system, perhaps even a symbol for themselves. What form would it take? A spiral to show evolution, a wave to show motion, or something beyond our imagination? The weight of that moment is hard to describe. Every scientist in the room would know they were witnessing something beyond history. More than discovery, it would be connection. For the first time, humanity would not be alone, and yet, there would also be fear, because every signal carries risk. To send is to reveal, to listen is to open the door. If they know us, do they seek peace or something else? We project our hopes and our fears onto the unknown. Science fiction has trained us for both, benevolent guides, or threats hidden behind stars. As the signal continued, the world would wait. Governments would argue, should we answer, or remain silent? The public would demand to know. Religious leaders would debate what this means for belief. Artists would paint visions of alien skies. And ordinary people like you, listening now, would look up at the night differently. Because now, the silence has been broken. The chapter ends here, in suspense. The signal continues, but something changes. The simple pulses shift. New patterns emerge. It is no longer just numbers. It begins to carry rhythm, as if syllables, as if a voice is forming in the static. Chapter 2. Decoding the unknown. The signal is here. The pulses repeat. Steady, deliberate. Humanity has waited centuries for this moment. But now comes the hardest question. How do we decode it? A signal without meaning is only noise. To transform it into language, we need a key. History has shown us that language barriers can be broken, even when no living speaker remains. The perfect example is the Rosetta Stone. For centuries, Egyptian hieroglyphs were mysterious drawings on temple walls and tombs. No one knew how to read them. They were like a voice lost in time. But in 1799, a stone was discovered with the same text written 3 times, in hieroglyphs, in a simpler Egyptian script, and in Greek. Suddenly, scholars had a bridge. By comparing known Greek with the unknown symbols, they could unlock the forgotten code. It took years, but eventually the language of ancient Egypt spoke again. Now imagine applying that logic to a message from another world. Except here, there is no Rosetta Stone, no second language to guide us. We would face symbols or pulses, or tones that may have no connection to anything human. How do you begin to understand something truly alien? The answer is to look for universals. Every intelligent being must know mathematics, because the universe itself is built on it. 1 + 1 = 2, no matter where you are in the cosmos. A triangle has 3 sides on Earth, and it has 3 sides on any planet. The speed of light, the ratio of a circle's circumference to its diameter, these are constants no species can ignore. So the first step in decoding would be to search for numbers. Prime numbers are especially important. They are indivisible, a fingerprint of order. If the message pulses once, then twice, then 3 times, then 5, then 7, that is not nature. That is mind. Those numbers are the first words. From there, complexity can grow. Imagine a grid of dots, 1 by 1, then 2 by 2, then 3 by 3. Slowly, shapes emerge. Circles, triangles, squares. Geometry becomes the second alphabet. The aliens would not need to know English, or Mandarin, or Arabic. They would only need to know shapes, the same way we do. And yet, the deeper challenge is not in the basics, but in meaning. Numbers can say we are intelligent. Shapes can say we understand geometry. But what if they want to say more? How do you describe love, or war, or time, across the gulf of stars? Here, we can look to our own history. When humans first tried to send information across long distances, we used codes, smoke signals, drums, knots, tied into ropes, like the quipu of the Inca civilization. Later, we invented Morse code, dots and dashes, short and long pulses of sound or light. At first glance, meaningless. But once you understand the key, a whole language unfolds. Source becomes clear. Hello becomes simple. Perhaps the alien signal works the same way. Short pulses for one sound, long pulses for another. Or different frequencies, standing for different letters. With time, patterns reveal themselves. A repeating sequence may mean a greeting. A change in rhythm may signal a question. But here is the unsettling thought. What if the first word we understand is not hello? Close your eyes and imagine the rhythm. Click, pause, click, click, pause, click, 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 silence, then a long tone, over and over. At first it seems harmless, like a mechanical chant. But then, when the sequence is mapped, it forms a symbol, a warning sign, perhaps, or a pattern resembling danger. What if their first message is not welcome, but caution? Consider this. When we sent Voyager into space, we included a record of who we are. Greetings, music, images, but also maps. Maps that show our exact location in the galaxy. If someone finds it, they will know where to come. We chose to reveal ourselves, trusting in goodwill. But what if another species does not think like us? What if their philosophy is survival through secrecy? They might see us not as neighbors, but as intruders. Decoding, then, is not only about meaning, it is about intent. Every word carries emotion. Every message carries purpose. When we decipher the alien signal, we will not only learn what it says, we will have to face why it was sent. Think again of the Rosetta Stone. It did not only unlock language, it unlocked a civilization's worldview, its gods, its rulers, its beliefs about life and death. In the same way, the first alien sentence we understand will open a window into their minds, and once we look through, we cannot look away. Imagine the first decoded phrase. Not "we see you," not "we are friends," but something like, "Do not leave your world." Simple, direct, chilling. Would we obey? Could we? Or would curiosity drive us further, no matter the warning? The suspense grows with every pulse. Each new sequence brings us closer to comprehension, closer to understanding their voice. But as the message becomes clearer, a strange tension fills the air. What if we are not ready to know? What if the meaning, once revealed, changes us forever? Because sometimes, the greatest mystery is not whether someone is speaking, it is whether we truly want to hear what they are saying. Chapter 3. The first contact message. The moment arrives. The signals are no longer random. The patterns have meaning. After weeks of analysis, the first fragments of the alien message take shape. Humanity is about to hear words from another world for the very first time. Scientists gather in dimly lit rooms, their screens glowing with the translated code. The air is heavy, as if everyone knows history is about to bend. What will it say? A greeting, a threat, a mystery. The unknown presses down on everyone's chest like weight. And then the message begins. Possibility 1. A peaceful greeting. The decoded symbols appear as numbers at first, but then they arrange into images. A spiral resembling a galaxy. A dot showing a solar system. One point glowing brighter than the rest, perhaps their home. Then, a simple sequence. We see you. Those 3 words, if real, would transform everything. Not hostile, not fearful, simply observation. Proof that we are not alone, spoken with calm clarity. A greeting stripped down to its core. Imagine the reaction. Around the world, millions lean closer to their devices, hearing the whispered translation. Some cry, some laugh. Others sit in silence, staring at the night sky as if for the first time. The thought is overwhelming. Another species knows we exist. They have watched us. They have chosen to reach out. Religious leaders might call it divine confirmation, a signal of creation shared across the cosmos. Philosophers might claim it is the beginning of a universal dialogue. Children might ask, do they look like us? Do they have families? Do they dream? For a moment, the planet unites under AU. Nations divided by politics and war now face a truth far greater than borders. The universe is alive with neighbors, and they are saying hello. But under the surface, fear still lingers. If they see us, what else do they know? Possibility 2. A warning. The message continues. Symbols shift, forming a different meaning. Not a greeting, but a command. Do not expand beyond your world. The weight of these words is crushing. Suddenly, the message feels less like a handshake and more like a barrier. A red line drawn across the stars. Humanity, curious and restless, is told to stay home. The psychological impact is immediate. Some argue it is wise advice. Perhaps they know dangers that we cannot imagine. Maybe space beyond our solar system is filled with threats, predators, or deadly environments. The warning could be an act of care, a way to protect us from ourselves. But others feel insulted, controlled. Why should another civilization decide our limits? Humanity's story has always been one of exploration. Oceans crossed, mountains climbed, skies conquered. To be told do not leave is like caging our spirit. Governments would argue endlessly. Some might push to obey, fearing consequences. Others would defy, determined to show independence. Scientists might debate whether the warning is genuine or a trick. Could this be a test? A way to see if we are worthy or reckless? The public reaction would be divided. Some would retreat into fear, believing we have angered a power far greater than us. Others would call for courage. If we are threatened, should we not stand tall? The haunting part is not just the message itself, but the silence that follows. No explanation, no reasoning, just the command. Like a parent telling a child not to cross the street, but never explaining why. And then the darkest thought appears. What if it is not advice, but a warning of consequence? What if leaving Earth means war? Possibility 3. A story of their own. The symbols shift again, this time forming something far richer. A narrative. The alien signal does not begin with us, but with them. First come patterns of numbers, showing the age of their star. Then images, binary pictures that reveal landscapes, vast oceans, towering mountains, a sky with 2 suns. Slowly, a civilization emerges. Cities, machines, art, energy harnessed from their world. The story grows darker. Their population rises, their technology advances, but the symbols begin to show imbalance. Resources drained, wars ignited, skies filled with toxic clouds. A pattern of decline spreads across the transmission. The sequence feels less like history and more like confession. Then comes the final chapter of their message. Silence, symbolized by a darkened star. A civilization that rose, thrived, and fell, leaving only this signal as its memory. The meaning is clear. The message is not simply hello or stay home. It is a warning written in their own blood. A reminder that intelligence alone does not guarantee survival. They may no longer exist. What reaches us may be only their echo. The impact of such a message would shake humanity to its core. To know we are not alone and to know that others have already failed forces us to question our path. Are we repeating their story? Will Earth follow the same rise and fall? Or can we learn from their mistakes? This version of the message would not only be contact, it would be a mirror, reflecting our possible future. The psychological earthquake. No matter which version is true greeting, warning, or story, the psychological impact on humanity is the same. Nothing will ever be the same again. Fear. What if they are powerful, and we are fragile? Awe. What if this is the first step toward becoming part of something larger? Denial. Some will refuse to believe, claiming hoax or conspiracy. Spiritual awakening. Others will see it as proof of divine design, or destiny fulfilled. Chapter 4. Humanity's response the moment the first alien message is decoded. Humanity crosses an invisible threshold. For centuries, the idea of extraterrestrial intelligence has been speculation, myth, or entertainment. But now, it becomes fact. The question is no longer if we are alone, but what do we do now? This is where the story of discovery transforms into the story of us. Because the way we respond will reveal as much about humanity as the message reveals about them. The scientific response in the hours after confirmation. The scientific community erupts. NASA holds emergency meetings. The European Space Agency, Japan's JAXA, and India's ISRO all convene with top linguists, mathematicians, and physicists. A shared question hangs over every table. Do we answer? The debate is fierce. On one side, scientists argue that silence is safer. If we reply, we reveal our location, our level of technology, even the pace of our progress. To some, it feels like shouting into a dark forest without knowing who or what is out there. On the other side, curiosity burns bright. They argue that contact could be the greatest scientific experiment in history, a chance to exchange knowledge across the stars. Mathematics, medicine, even the secrets of faster-than-light travel might lie in that dialogue. To ignore it would be to turn our backs on the single most important opportunity our species has ever been given. the United Nations quickly assembles a global council. For the first time in decades, nations that normally disagree sit side by side, forced to wrestle with a decision that affects not just one country, but the entire planet. Cultural impact. The ripples move beyond governments and laboratories. Humanity itself begins to fracture and reform in response to the news. Religious leaders step forward. Some see the message as confirmation of their faith, proof of a creator so vast that it allowed life to bloom across the universe. Others struggle, fearing that alien intelligence might disrupt sacred teachings or rewrite the role of humanity in the cosmos. Philosophers ask timeless questions in new light. If another intelligence exists, what does it mean to be human? Are we still special, or just one among countless civilizations scattered across the stars? Art changes overnight. Painters depict glowing skies filled with unfamiliar constellations. Musicians weave alien-like tones into their songs. Writers and filmmakers rush to capture the fear, the awe, the unexplainable beauty of this turning point. It is as though humanity, in one collective heartbeat, realizes that its story has always been incomplete. Division versus unity, but not everyone reacts with wonder. In some places, fear grows. Conspiracy theories spread faster than facts. Some claim the message is a trap, a test, or even a warning humanity has already failed to understand. Governments argue, should military defenses be expanded? Should humanity prepare for conflict? Some leaders push for secrecy, fearing that releasing too much information will cause mass panic. Others argue for transparency, insisting that the entire planet deserves to know the truth. And yet, within that division, a fragile unity begins to take shape. People in every corner of the globe, despite language and cultural barriers, share the same sleepless nights. Children ask the same questions. Scientists exchange notes across borders. For once, humanity is not divided by nation, but connected by a single unknown in the sky. It is here that we glimpse both extremes of our nature, the instinct to protect, and the instinct to reach out. Whispered reflection in the quiet moments, away from conferences and protests, a more haunting thought lingers. If we answer, we reveal where we are. If we stay silent, we may never know what could have been. It is a dilemma without precedent. Silence might protect us, but it also denies us a future that could be greater than any we have imagined. A reply could elevate us, or destroy us. Whispers spread in laboratories, in churches, in what if they already know where we are? What if they've been listening all along? The cliffhanger. Weeks pass. Debates rage. Humanity stands at a crossroads, suspended between hope and fear. And then, a final thought rises to the surface. Silence itself can also be an answer. To say nothing is to send a message of caution, of hesitation, of waiting. Perhaps the aliens will interpret it as fear. Perhaps they will see it as wisdom. Or perhaps they will see it as permission to speak again. Because what if the message was never truly a greeting? What if it was bait, a test, or a signal meant for someone or something else? And what if those who sent it are not light years away, but already here, listening? Chapter 5, a turning point for humanity. For as long as humans have looked up at the night sky, the question has haunted us. Are we alone? That single uncertainty has fueled our myths, our religions, our sciences, even our dreams. And now, with the arrival of a message, undeniable and unshakable, the question has been answered. We are not alone, but this is not the end of a story. It is the beginning of a new one, because the real mystery, perhaps, is not the alien intelligence itself, but what their existence means for us. Philosophical depth, rethinking humanity in the silence after discovery. Humanity begins to ask itself the hardest questions. Who are we, if we are not unique? Philosophers revisit ancient texts with fresh eyes. The idea of humanity as the center of existence collapses. Instead, we become one thread in a cosmic tapestry, a small, flickering flame among countless others. Some find this humbling, a blow to our collective ego. Others find it liberating. If we are not alone, then the universe is not indifferent. It is alive, filled with voices, waiting to be heard. There is also a shift in morality. For centuries, human conflicts have been shaped by borders, religions, and ideologies. But in the face of the unknown, those divisions appear smaller, almost fragile. If there are others out there, what does it mean to kill each other here? If we are one species among many, should we not, first and foremost, learn to live as one people? The alien message becomes less about them and more about us, a mirror reflecting our flaws, our hopes, our contradictions. We see clearly, perhaps for the first time, who we are. Future outlook, a changed world. Education transforms almost overnight. Children are no longer taught the story of humanity as a self-contained arc, but as a chapter in a much larger book. Schools begin teaching cosmic history, the origins of life, not just on Earth, but as a universal phenomenon. Mathematics, once abstract, becomes the imagined bridge between species. Languages are taught with the understanding that the true goal is not just to communicate with each other, but to prepare for the possibility of speaking to minds unimaginably different from our own. Science enters a golden age. Funding for space exploration surges. New telescopes are built. Private companies, once focused on profit alone, now join the global effort to seek, to understand, to prepare. Human eyes turn outward, toward Mars, toward the icy oceans of Europa, toward the distant signals that may yet whisper across the stars. Art too undergoes a revolution. Writers compose stories not of human dominance, but of human humility. Painters fill canvases with symbols of connection, echoes of voices across infinite distances. Music drifts toward tones and scales designed to mimic the rhythm of the stars, the pulse of prime numbers, the imagined voice of the cosmos itself. Even politics, so often bound by power struggles, begins to change. Leaders recognize that if communication is possible, then humanity cannot afford to present itself as fractured. International coalitions strengthen. Old enemies, faced with a truth larger than their hatred, begin to reconcile. For the first time, global unity feels like more than a dream. And yet, beneath this optimism, fear lingers. What if the aliens are hostile? What if the message was not a greeting, but a warning? What if our every move is being watched, judged, weighed? Humanity learns to live with a paradox. Wonder and terror, progress and caution, hope and dread, all woven together. Mystical closing tone. The mirror, but perhaps the deepest transformation is not external at all. Perhaps the real change is within. In whispered conversations, in quiet reflections before sleep, people begin to see the alien message not as a revelation from them, but as a revelation about us. Maybe the words were never truly meant to be read as a greeting. Maybe they were a mirror, held up to show us our own face. If the message says, "We see you," then perhaps it is not a promise of friendship, but a reminder that humanity itself must finally learn to see beyond greed, beyond fear, beyond war. If the message says, "Do not expand beyond your world," maybe it is not a threat, but a warning to ourselves, that our destruction will not come from others, but from our inability to care for the planet we already have. And if the message is a story of a civilization's rise and fall, then perhaps it is not their story at all, but a prophecy of our own. The more humanity reflects, the more it becomes clear. The message has power not because of what it reveals about the senders, but because of what it awakens in us. The turning point, this then, is the turning point for humanity. A fork in the road, not written by war or politics, but by wonder. For the first time, we know beyond doubt that the universe is shared, and in that knowledge, we are faced with a choice. Do we collapse under fear, clinging to the illusion of isolation, or do we rise, stepping into a future defined not by solitude, but by connection? Perhaps the aliens are still silent. Perhaps they will never speak again, but it no longer matters, because the truth has already changed us. The stars are no longer cold and empty. They are alive with possibility, whispered closing, and so, in the quiet of night, under skies humanity has looked at for thousands of years, one final thought lingers. Maybe the message was never about them. Maybe it was always about us. A whisper from the cosmos, reminding us that the greatest discovery is not what waits among the stars, but what we choose to become when we know we are not alone.